Welcome back to the Art of Whiskey with the Whiskey Blendery. I know it's almost a double entendre, but what Tim has done, as you heard in the last episode, gifted us with some bottles to learn about. Now, what I love about walking in new spaces and new rooms is basically not knowing anything. People say, how do you know so much? Because I love going places where I don't know shit. and Tim's a super good teacher. He's going to walk us through the bottles that we should be...
Yeah, I just grabbed some stuff that were collecting dust on my shelf there. So this is Old Soul. So it's a goody store pick. So anytime you see any kind of marking or barrel number or anything like that, so that means it's a private barrel selection from this liquor store. So I don't know how many barrels that they tasted, but they basically said this is the best barrel.
Yeah.
And I actually remember this being pretty good. So when it says high rye, that can mean a couple things. So I'm gonna look on this to see if it says distilled in Indiana on the back at all. Old Soul. So if it says distilled in Indiana, then it is most likely MGP. And there it is. So cool. I don't know if you can see that. So distilled in Indiana. And one other thing that it kind of told me, that even if it didn't say that, so 75 corn, 21% rye. So how we talked about that Nulu bottle that I said this is probably 21% rye bourbon. Mm-hmm. So even though that's the lowest rye or the lower most common mash bill for the bourbon for MGP, it's still considered a high rye bourbon. So, and I don't know what the number is. Some people say 15, some people say 20. If the second grain is above, say, 20, then that's considered a high rye bourbon. There's probably an exact number on that, but people use it kind of interchangeably. So to me, the high rye is the 36% rye bourbon. So that's a lot more. So it's 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% malted barley. So because it's the higher rye mash bill, I usually call that high rye, and then the 21%, I'll either say 21% rye bourbon or the lower rye mash bill from MGP. That's most commonly known. They have a ton of mash bills, but so bottle number. So that kind of tells you. So what I'm looking for there is the yield. So 246 bottle yield. So I don't know if this is age stated, but that number tells me that that's a lot of bottles out of one barrel. I mean, that bad boy's I've never gotten anywhere close to 246 bottles out of a barrel.
How big is this barrel, you think?
No, it's the same size as ours, but that means that they're pulling it younger. So where most of ours are going 7+ years, and it's hotter in Texas. So this was probably at MGP the entire time, probably at a lower floor, and let's see, barrel pick in 2020. Let's see if I can find an age on it. So it's not age stated. So it's.
And is that not required?
It is not required, depending on what they're saying it is. So it's straight bourbon whiskey. So I believe this has to be at least 4 years old. Yeah. So it is likely 4 years old.
Isn't that crazy how he's able to get all of that data just from the sticker? I think for you, like, this is, for some people that might not be thinking about whiskey, that's a lot of information. I'm curious what you have to say about an old school hood favorite.
I thought you were going to say, hey, this is more your style, Trevor. Let me give you some Crown Peach.
People might not understand what MGP is. I'm like, so out of all these crazy bottles that you have the wild card Crown Peach. And I mean, how the heck did this end up in the pick? Tell me about this guy.
People were going nuts when that first dropped. People were going nuts, and I think they were mixing that with like sweet tea, or they were mixing it with tea and saying like, this is the best freaking drink ever.
So is this just a regular Crown bottle, or is this a barrel pick?
No. Like, I don't think Crown does barrel picks. They're mass produced.
70 proof. So
is it 70 proof?
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me about, what do you see when you see Crown Peach?
So, well, now I see, not for me, but
you're not the first person to say that.
Like, people still like this, and actually right now blackberry, Crown blackberry is like the hottest thing.
Really?
And I forget, they mix it with like rum chata. So rum chata and blackberry Crown.
I get that.
I haven't tried it because I'm not buying bottles of Crown anymore.
You buy barrels of whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this, I mean, it's very sweet and it's very light and it's very fruity. And I think if you do try it with iced tea, I think you're going to be like, hey, this is a great summer drink.
But no sugar in iced tea.
I mean, how do you like your Kool-Aid? You know, how many
He's back. This is why Tim is invited to the barbecue right there.
Oh, man.
Well done. He's been saving that one for a minute.
No, he mentioned Kool-Aid.
It's been in your back pocket, and he came right back. That is like Barry Seinfeld. Tim is quick with it. Like he's like, I got something for your ass.
that
over
was
there.
good.
Well done, Tim.
That is going to some remixes.
So I'm about to say this one here too. This is actually a pretty popular, like the Macallan. Like
Yeah,
this
the Macallan 12 year. So that's a staple in Scotch. So single malt Scotch. That's a great bottle that everybody should have. I don't drink it, and so I would rather you guys.
blend a Scotch, man?
How do you blend a Scotch?
Yeah, like because of
if you were trying to do the experiment of like adding a Scotch, and I've never done that. I don't know. We could try it because now you got me interested.
Yeah, like I'm curious because you got.
And you know what's crazy?
Oaky.
Tim, tell them when I told them I sent him a list, I sent him a work list. Kind of, I say, hey, these are the things we need to lean into. He says, well,
I still need to look at it.
I said, well, we got to look at Japanese whiskey, Scotch. He says, well, I don't drink all those. I said, then he turns around and says, well, people bring me stuff all the time to drink. And I go, it's about the education, man. You guys are going to trust his palate when this is done. And as we learn, like even taking this bottle back to the crib and going through and learning a little bit more about Scotch. We talked about potentially going to Scotland next year, and Scotland being one of the Scottish having some of like over 100 distilleries over there, man.
Man, the history is. I know you're starting to nerd out on some of this stuff, but the history over there, like I haven't been, but that's on my bucket list.
Yeah, no, it's not even a question. Once I saw that, I'm literally if I had my computer right now, you see what I was reading about Scotland and all the stuff this morning. You go, yeah, I got to get there. For a fact, I got to get there, and even more importantly, take this back, break this bottle down, and learn something.
So we've gone through this one.
Okay, so
that one.
Yeah, so New Riff. So I'm a big fan of New Riff. So actually, the first barrel pick that I went on was a New Riff single barrel pick. I think in 2019. Kind of a funny story. A guy that's still a great friend of mine now. We were doing a trade on whiskey. I don't know, back when like people used like Craigslist or something. Like this was
they traded
like 5 years ago.
Craigslist whiskey. Now that's
because you can't get everything, and sometimes people will buy 2 bottles of something that's pretty rare, and then like the second bottle is like trade bait kind of
resale.
Yeah, so we had a trade. We met up at a liquor store. Super nice guy. We spent an hour talking in the parking
liquor
lot.
store parking lot?
It sounds weird, but
it does sound weird.
Sounds a little creepy. But the creepy part is he's like, hey, I've got a barrel pick lined up at New Riff. Do you want to go with me? So here's a guy I just met at the liquor store, and he's like, hey, do you want to go to Kentucky, Indiana? Like, do you want to go and pick this barrel of whiskey?
This was in Texas?
Yeah, this was in Texas. Yeah, we met at a liquor store in Texas.
Like that one too, man. I just met this dude. He seemed like a cool dude, David Stowe. I was like, yo, I'm about to go to Arizona this week. You want to ride? He was like, sure.
Yeah, it's wild. But this guy, he's one of the most, well, not from this barrel, but actually that barrel over there was our second New Riff barrel pick. So we did another one. And that's how I met Andy sitting over there. And that was my wife's first barrel pick. I don't know if she'd ever been
liquor
on.
store parking lot. That's how you connected with.
If I wouldn't have said yes to him at the liquor store parking lot, I never would have met Andy because I never would have gone and done a second New Riff barrel. And Andy wouldn't be living in Texas working at the blendery right now.
That's crazy
because of that. And I'm still really good friends. Actually, just texted him 2 days ago because he made a bourbon hot sauce with one of the.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Well,
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Where are you selling
You're a
that?
foodie. I made some pork belly burnt ends.
Now I'm gonna see for myself. Tim can cook. Now we'll put that there to the test. I can cook.
Yeah, you're a better cook than I am.
Right, so tell me about the New Riff because I know the bourbon, right? Like, and you got this is about
so this is the
4 year.
rye. So this is a single barrel rye. So 15. I'm guessing that means that it was barreled in 2015, and then I don't know if it has a dump date. These were probably 4 years old. So
they were 4
fall
years.
19. So that's a 4-year, but that's a really good rye and a really good bourbon. So they have 100 proof bourbon that's 4 years old. It's just a great drinking, really nice bourbon, and they're up and comers. They just turned 8 years this year, so they've got some 8-year
so they're
stuff.
8 years, and this guy's a 4 year, so this is midway through.
Yeah, but this is from 2019, so it was distilled in 15 and then bottled in 19. But yeah, new riff is solid.
Now, I want to know what you done. This one right here, I tried it, and I was like,
I was gonna say we need Trevor. Did you break
I
the
tried
cork
it.
off?
No, it was. That's how it was. This one's. I don't know how old this bottle is, but it's been there.
So that's one of my.
Careful with that
that's one of
bottle.
my first. That might be one of my first.
That thing
Texas.
looks like it's been utilized. I'm surprised you still have some in it.
It has a 2015 date on it, and that's probably the bottle date. I'm guessing, like when it went into the bottle.
Look at his face, man. Like
This is gonna be no good.
there's
There's a
solid
little
pour, too.
cork in there. Don't.
I'll
drink
survive.
that. Yeah, you'll be all right. All right. So this is Baby Blue. There was a guy in here last week that was like, loves the Baby Blue. So this is corn whiskey.
Corn, it smells like corn
46.
too.
Yeah, so it's corn whiskey.
Man,
Why isn't
I haven't
it?
had this in a long time.
Why
I
isn't
don't know.
it bourbon?
Maybe it's in a used barrel. I'm guessing
That might be what it is.
Yeah, bourbon can only be in one barrel.
a brand new white oak barrel.
There you go. One time. Once
Yes.
it gets transferred over, it turns into a whiskey. What a shame.
Says the dude pinkies up on it.
Yeah, so I know you're a business guy, but yeah, these guys, yeah, they sold. Who'd they sell to, Andy? Do you remember?
Who was it?
Was it Balcones? Did they sell to Bacardi or Diageo
It
or?
was a bigger conglomerate company.
Yeah, it was-
I'm sure.
Yeah, but they sold for big bucks.
That's not bad, man.
Okay, all right.
That was not my experience.
That was not
It's
my
not bad.
experience either. Now I want to try it again.
No, man. Now it's like I had a different
If
experience.
Trevor doesn't make a face like,
My experience was, ooh, wee.
No.
Pour me up, pour me a little corner.
Diageo, Tim.
Diageo, yeah. So Diageo bought these guys out of Waco.
How much?
I think it was undisclosed, but
course it was.
it was.
It's gotta be 200 plus, ain't it?
I would imagine
Always 10x.
over 150. Yeah.
10x on whatever they originally started with.
I mean,
Get their reaction. Cause
it's
look,
not like it's
my
not
jam.
like I remember.
Not my jam, man.
you don't like it.
Not my jam. It's got a cardboardy and
It smelled like it, but it didn't taste as bad in my opinion.
it's sweet up front, but like the middle palate was
Oh no, that's not.
not for me. It was not for me. Like,
Better than I remember.
It's crazy because we're over here
It is
tasting
very
something,
sweet.
and Trevor's like, ah.
yeah.
But
Oh,
this
yeah.
one, you're like, good for
I
you.
smell. I taste a little bacon.
You taste bacon. Is
I
that because I said the pork belly and now you're thinking bacon?
See what I'm saying? You are what you think you are.
Yep.
And in this case, now I want some pork
Yeah.
belly.
Hey, I'm glad you like it. But so here's something. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's starting to turn a little cloudy, and that's because the bottle is older and it has a lot of air in it. So every time I open this, more air is coming in and more alcohol is evaporating. So the more that happens and the lower proof that it gets, it's gonna get cloudy and I think it gets more like citrus and like just the integrity of the whiskey is turning bad. So
Yeah. That'd be a whole little series too. I'd love to go. down the rabbit hole of what it looks like to keep whiskey integral.
we've done a lot of tests on that kind of stuff, and a guy in a local whiskey club, the Someone Say Whiskey Club, Randy, he's done a lot of tests on this stuff too. Like he might even still have the test going to where he had he did experiments to see what light, heat, and air.
Did to the whiskey.
Yeah,
That's valuable
did to
data
the
right
whiskey.
there.
Valuable data.
Yeah, it is, and air is the number one like,
Killer.
Not killer because think about some of the stuff like it gets better just like wine. It gets better after it opens up. So it has a sweet spot to where if this was bottled in 2015, so we're almost 9 years of it like. That's too much. It's gone.
9 years of oxygen.
And if it was a full bottle versus it being
and the
half
cork integrity is not good, so that means air is coming and going, and that's not good for 9 years. So But hey, you like it, so
Drink away, bro.
I don't look now. I would never go buy this, especially since I got to try it. I don't dislike it. That's the biggest thing. I don't dislike it.
well, and that's the thing too. So many people try to tell you what you should drink, what you should like, and that's you have to ignore that, because what you like and what you like to drink should always be like your call.
You're gonna drink it. Might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, so that's why, that's part of the reason what we do here is we allow people to make whatever they want. It's not what I'm telling them to make or you're telling them to make. They're making something that they're excited about and get to bottle it.
I think it's really interesting too when you got people that come in and say, "Oh, I'm a wine drinker." I had someone the other night, "I'm a vodka drinker," and she still found something that she was like, she can appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. It's like, it is really for everybody. I think you hit that home.
Well, I think that's what this education is going to do too. I mean, like, I had no clue. Well, I don't have a clue. I said, let's build something out because I'm sure there's more me in the world than there are. And whiskey, you run the numbers, you go, I think there's a lot of people asking questions, man.
Well, tell us about this last bottle that we have in this guy. Pinhook.
So Pinhook. So Andy, you probably know more about Pinhook as far as so they have
This one's good.
horses that they
named it
race,
after a
right?
horse.
I mean, most of their labels are correlated to horse races. It's Kentucky based. I know it's, if not all MGP, it's a lot of MGP sourced whiskey, and they do the wax and the color schemes for their closure.
Yeah, so this one actually says distilled and bottled by Castle and Key. So the Castle and Key, this one here, the Restoration Rye. So this was sourced from them, but most of it is MGP. I know a lot of the local clubs, they had a deal to where you could buy like 5 consecutive barrels, and every one is a year older.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like 5 years of releases. Each one is a year older that you do a barrel pick on. So
That's actually pretty cool how they do it.
Yeah, that's
Way
good.
to stay in business over time.
Yeah, I've got one that's like purple wax that I should have gave you that too. That one is sourced MGP.
So out of these guys here,
What's your favorite too, man? But go ahead, finish.
yeah, like I'm curious. Out of these guys, you mentioned that there was a base whiskey in the Nulu Straight, but like, where would you start? We got Macallan, we've got Ryes, and we're very rye heavy. We got Crown Peach. Lord have mercy.
It's like he had a barbecue, and he left with this. It's like someone say, "Hey, buddy, take this with you, man."
Yeah. So if you were going to take a whiskey and start it as a base to work with, outside of the Nulu, where would you go?
Yeah, I would say, if I'm not starting with Nulu, I'm probably starting with the Old Soul, just because it's 21% rye MGP, and I know how to work with that. Just from doing our little experiment, I was actually pretty impressed with the Angel's Envy port finished. It was soft and
It's like playing chess right now. That's what I feel like.
And then what's your third that you would be your one that would
horse
be
right
out?
here?
I would say New Riff. Even though this is a rye, they have really nice, sometimes even sweeter ryes. So I would definitely pick that.
So next video,
We're gonna do the secret stuff.
that's our 3.
We're gonna do the secret stuff where he pulls some stuff.
What's it? What?
helps us.
Tell me
Bring
you've
it
been
together.
blending without telling me you've been blending.
But they think, look, I'm a big guy, man. I can act real well. Trust me, I can tighten this thing up about 2 seconds and be just as clear as day. This is all performance, people. I'm a performing artist. They fail to realize.
if it is a performance, would he actually be telling us it's a performance?
I was just saying, go tell him, dropping them bangers, boy.
Guys, so again, we're at the Blendery. Shout out, big thank you to Tim for helping us out. And mind you, we probably got 18 months to 2 years of work. I'm in no rush, and to learn as much as we can, make sure we participate properly in this space.
So can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
So since you are in no rush,
yeah.
and whiskey isn't any
Ain't going nowhere.
rush, I would recommend trying to put some whiskey into a barrel that are your barrels or you call your own. So then at the end of this journey, now you've learned so much in 2 years, but now you've got at least 2 years of your whiskey that's already been aging. Because at the end of this, you know you're going to want to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So why not put it in the barrel while you're learning, and now you have something at the end of this.
Hence the lane we were talking about earlier. Trust me, man. I'm with you. I told
Yep.
you. Remember, what did I tell you? We was off camera. I said, hey, let's sit down and get together this week sometime. That's my dinner on me, so I can pick your brain. Because I've the conversations I have in a day could change your life. That's a true story. And guys like Tim can help make sure we're set up for the future, because this is the future play. If I ending this, I'll tell you this. I talked to a guy who started a gin business, and he said the one thing he would change is making sure he lined the story up properly. I said, what do you mean? He said, I lived in LA, he's from Kansas City. It's called Rally Gin. And he said, had I known how important the story is in the branding space, because it's like two ways to do whiskey, right? You either build a brand or you build a distillery objectively. And if you build a brand, you got to make sure that story is in fact too, and people really support. And so you like find a distributor, they get that stuff out there, somebody buys your brand. And then if you build a distillery, I mean, MGP and those other people, they just keep the barrels coming. So he said he would have added parts of the story to make sure in the point he's gotten to that the story was better. And so as I've said, guys, don't rush anything in life. You want to get the story right. You want to get the business part right. You want to do right by the whiskey, to say the least.
Yeah, and that makes sense for gin, because gin doesn't require any aging. Like right off the still, it goes into the bottle, and then there's some gins you might like better. This is distilled this many times, but then it becomes about the story.
Yeah.
Whiskey, in my opinion, is the story. And the history on some of those barrels, the story behind them, like that is the story, that is the marketing. So the whiskey here speaks for itself. I'm still learning, I'm still building my story, what's true to me. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about aged spirits, especially spirits that are 8 to 10 years old, like they have their own story to tell. and we're just bottling it, and we're just creating experiences so people really enjoy it.
Well, guys, we'll do a video when Tim comes and works with me on picking out our barrels that we'll age. And I might wait to 10. I might just wait to 10 years if we do some other stuff right. And when that 10-year bottle drop, it'd be a one and done, because we've done some other stuff. But Tim, we can't thank you enough for your time, energy, and allowing us to put in some effort and learn more about whiskey, man. And again, guys, I'm gonna break all these down. Trust me, I like rabbit holes. Some people are like, I went down I'm going down a rabbit hole, and I'm gonna
There's a whiskey called Rabbit Hole.
Is it?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Well, now I gotta look at it. You know what? I was in Denver, Colorado, and they have a restaurant called the Rabbit Hole. And it's literally like you walking down the street, it's a glass thing, you gotta like walk into it. I was like, oh, I gotta go there right now. That joker sold out. You could not get in that book. I said, dang! Stay tuned though, people. We got a lot to learn. We got a lot to drink. And a lot to achieve, people. So until next time.
I wouldn't have thought that would have been